You, Brother Wycliffe. Thank you, Brother Wycliffe. Good evening, my family in Christ. It is a blessing to be here this evening. I say a special welcome to my brother Wycliffe Morton, and I notice my pastor, Reverend Hilton Joseph, is also online. I also honor the pastors, Reverend Devere Nugent and his wife as they continue to labor in the vineyard. And my esteemed audience, I say a blessed good evening. I also give a shout out to my sister who is online supporting me, Kelleen. Welcome. I know that she will have her critiques, and I welcome them as she's also a fellow educator and a stalwart in the Sunday school ministry at the Mandeville Baptist Church. So, colleagues, I am happy to be here. Let me get into the meat of the matter. Okay, my family, are you seeing my screen? Just give me a quick shout out, yes?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, I do.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Brother Wycliffe, there are just some things in the chat I'm going to ask you to point out for me when I ask, because as the consummate educator, I will be doing just a tad of interaction, just to shift things up a bit. I want to hear from you, and based on the topic that we'll be looking at, we will be celebrating diverse learners. And I know there are persons who like to use the chats. So, brethren, this evening we will be looking at finding the treasure in every child. And by the end of the night, I trust that we will be able to look at we'll be able to achieve these outcomes that are here. Recognize that a child's value is not determined by academic grades. Understand that children differ in how they process, participate, and demonstrate learning. That we are to avoid placing children into limiting personality or learning style categories. That we will examine behavior more carefully before assigning negative labels. And that we will identify one practical action for supporting a child's natural strengths. So we will keep these 5 outcomes in mind, and we will see how well we do by the end of tonight's session. So let me ask a question. I want you to put this information in the chat. Well, not in the chat. I do believe I want to hear the voices. I have a coin there on the screen. What is one valuable quality in a child that adults sometimes overlook? Very quickly. Let me hear some of the qualities that as adults we sometimes overlook.
Their curiosity.
Curiosity. Anything else? Thank you.
Their
independence.
Independence. Yes.
Their ability to express themselves.
Their ability to express themselves, definitely. I'll take 2 more.
Honesty.
Honesty. Another. The final one.
Inherent trust.
Pardon?
Inherent trust.
Yes, inherent trust. So, yes. So these are all traits that we sometimes do not quickly highlight. We tend to overlook them. But I want us to acknowledge that a quality can be present in a child long before an adult recognizes it. And discovering that quality does not create its value. So discovery helps us to see, discovery helps us to nurture, discovery helps us to direct what was already there. And I know we are looking at the scripture within which the service is anchored. It's the parable of the lost coin. And I want us to understand that every child is a treasure to be recognized, a gift to be developed, and a life to be directed towards God-honoring purpose. Now, the woman lost one of her 10 silver coins. No, the coin did not lose its value because it was hidden. All that happened was that the location changed. The value of the coin did not change. So I want us to remember that. When this woman lost the coin, if we were to use the parable of the lost coin to give us a framework of sorts for finding the treasure in every child, then I recommend that we look at the elements of light, sweep, search, and rejoice. Now, these four actions, they can give us as families and even as educators, they can give us a useful framework. Now, she lit a lamp, and the lighting of the lamp is synonymous to seeking understanding. So instead of saying, what is wrong with this child? Ask yourself, what am I not yet seeing? We notice that the woman, she swept the house. And to sweep the house for me, it signals removing of assumptions, the removal of comparisons and harmful labels. To search carefully, it is to observe the child's interests, to observe the child's behavior, the responses, the relationships, and emerging abilities. And of course, with all of this, when she found the coin, she rejoiced. And I want to recommend that when we talk about rejoicing, we see parallel to recognizing progress, not only for perfection. Now, I want to underscore the coin did not lose its value because it was hidden. The location changed, but the value of the coin did not change. Now, this is the same way where a child does not lose his or her value because of low grades. They don't lose value because of a learning difficulty, neither for an unconventional personality. Some of us believe that everybody should be like us. But I often say that if everybody was like me, the world would be a boring place, right? We need to embrace diversity from that standpoint. Not every child is going to be the same. And we also understand that it is the same way that you have abilities that are not usually rewarded in schools, because we know what our school systems are like and what it is that we place value on. So, of course, we know that the children, sometimes the treasure, it is not absent. It's just that we do not see it. We cannot find it. Like the lost coin, we just can't find it, but it is hidden beneath circumstance. Sometimes it is hidden beneath discouragement, limited opportunity, or even an environment that has not yet allowed it to emerge. And if some of us were very honest with our own upbringing and how we have matured as adults, we will understand that what I'm saying, it is indeed true. Most of us where we are now, that's not how we necessarily were starting out, or the interests we had, where we thought we would have ended up as it relates to a career. Things change. Now, on this slide, we see 3 words. Read the 3 words for me, please. I want to make sure you're not sleeping. What are the 3 words?
Performance, and potential.
Great. Worth, performance, and potential. Now, These three words are related, but they are not the same. A child's current performance is information. It is not a final declaration of the child's identity, of the child's ability, or the child's destiny. Now, worth, a child's worth is inherent. It is not earned through exam results. It is not earned through awards, through popularity, nor comparison with siblings. And let me emphasize this one. Do not compare siblings. And this is one of the things that I really value my parents for. There are 3 siblings of us, and growing up, they recognized that we were each different. And even as it relates to our career choices, how we grew, how they dealt with us, I have never heard, why can't you be like? Never heard it. And believe it or not, it is one of the easiest ways to scar a child when you want to compare and to draw that comparison between siblings. Now, performance is what the child is currently able to demonstrate under particular conditions. And the potential is what may emerge through teaching, practice, encouragement, opportunity, and development. Now, if we look at just some other scriptures within which we can ground what I'm saying, Psalm 139, 13 to 16, in the interest of time, we won't be able to read, but make your notes. And you'll see I have some boxes that are marked evidence-based. And this is just me trying to demonstrate that what I am presenting, I have not pulled it out of a hat. It is actually based on scholarly research. And so we see these bits and pieces here in the box. They will appeal to persons who like hardcore data, persons who are more scholarly. If you really don't care or go for that sort of thing, no problem. But I'm very mindful of my audience and the wide potential, the wide capacities that we have. And so I just seek to ensure that there is something there for everyone, from the simple to the complex. Now, we understand that a report card can tell us something about performance, but it cannot tell us everything that is important about a child. We need to remember that low performance may be related to weak foundational knowledge. When I even think about my background, if I did not have a love for mathematics, I would not have done well at mathematics because I had such poor teachers in Form 1 and 2. It wasn't until I got to Form 3 that God sent a savior, right? So these are, if we look at our experiences, look at the child experiences, it is not that the child's worth is compromised because of low grades, etc. So what I want us to understand is that if children, if children are familiar with information, then they will better interpret new information because they already have a frame of reference. And this is why when foundation is incomplete or when foundation is inaccurate, a new lesson can appear more difficult than it really is. So foundation is very important. It's just like building a house. And I want us to understand these things before we start attacking our children or to criticize that, you know, he or she isn't learning. Think about what we are doing and go back to the foundation. This is why it is so important to develop a relationship with your child's teachers, right? Very important for us to go through the books and to engage in homework and just to say, you know, how was your day today? All of these things are very important. So don't say, you know, he can't do mathematics, he can't write a good sentence. It is more accurate to say he has not yet mastered the particular functions needed for this particular task. Instead of saying, you know, she isn't academic, she can't do those things. Let us say the present form of assessment is not yet showing us the full range of what she understands and can do. So we have to be very careful brothers and sisters, about our language, because children may eventually adopt the descriptions that we repeatedly place on them, and it is called the self-fulfillment prophecy. It's a very popular concept in sociology, and the research shows that children do live up to these kinds of thought processes that are manifested in language. And if we go back to the Bible, we know that it says that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So we have to be very, very careful. Now, understand that children learn differently. And I'm telling us this because I know for me, when in teacher training, we learned about the auditory learner, the visual learner, the kinesthetic learner. But new research is actually showing that children, they may have preferences, but we have to approach that kind of language very carefully. We have to now understand that it's not necessarily the kind of learner, that's not necessarily the best approach. And it's called the meshing hypothesis. It is best that we match the teaching methods to the material. So for example, let me explain. If it is that you're teaching a child to play an instrument, instead of being highly theoretical about it, it makes more sense that you actually have the child engaging with the instrument. The same thing for foreign language. So instead of you going to the class and doing a translation style method, this is how you say good morning in Spanish. This is how you say good evening in French. Instead of that approach, you actually go to the classroom using the target language, engaging the students so that they are immersed. That is what we are talking about. And so we recognize that children may have preferences, right? But the claim that students generally learn better when teachers identify a preferred style and teach primarily through it, it can be very dangerous. The danger is that preference can become a prison. So a child may begin to say, oh, I'm a visual learner, so I can't learn by this way, or I'm a kinesthetic learner, so I can't sit and concentrate. That kind of education is not helpful. And we have to understand that this kind of research, that is seeking to debunk that kind of traditional way of looking at education and learning. It is embedded in extensive cognitive and psychological research, and it has now been labeled as a pervasive educational myth. So I want us to understand that if we think about those you may have some persons here who are familiar, like early childhood education. So you don't teach shapes by this. You actually give the students the manipulatives, right? And we then understand that even if we look at 1 Corinthians 12:4, we are diverse, right? We are diverse. Let me ask a question. I wanted to use the emoticons. Brother Wycliffe, tell me the activity you see. Use the Zoom reaction that best describes you. If you learn best using concrete examples, give me a thumbs up. If you learn best using discussions, use the heart emoji. If you like practical activity, give me a clap hand. And if you like quiet reflection, give me a light bulb. I'm just going to give you a few seconds. Brother Wycliffe, what is the activity in the chat looking like?
Nothing much as yet.
Nothing much as yet.
We're
So
listening.
we're sleeping?
No, we're listening.
Listening?
We're listening closely, yes.
All right. Any responses as yet? None?
Oh, they're putting them up on the screen directly.
They're putting them up.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
great.
We got a hat and a clap hand.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
are you noticing that we are diverse, Brother Wycliffe? Is there evidence of such diversity?
Yes, there are different symbols coming up.
Great. So we don't see
So,
all thumbs up,
see
we
heart,
don't see all hearts, etc.
right.
Great.
Like
So if we are moving from a fixed learning style, brothers and sisters, then we are speaking to what we call learner variability. And the questions that are best asked is, what does the child already know? What interests or motivates the child? How confident is the child? Right? These are things we need to be asking ourselves. Can the child explain the answer orally, even when writing is difficult? And just to whet our appetites, those of us who may want to go a bit deeper, there is what is called the Universal Design for Learning, UDL, and this is an educational framework that guides the design of flexible, accessible learning environments. And brethren, simply put, it is just created to meet the needs of all students. I know in our context it may seem strange, but I do know that there are teachers here in Jamaica who do use such strategies. And this is rooted in neuroscience because the belief is that one size does not fit all, right? And if we believe this, then we can understand that it is necessary to remove barriers so that every student has an equal opportunity to succeed. There's something called differentiated learning that teachers use. It is built on this principle, right? And it is basically looking at elements of the three tenets of UDL, which is engagement, representation, and expression. And it is looking at why learn, right? What to learn and how to learn. So if you look at the what of learning, you're looking at presenting information in various formats. So instead of just using a textbook, we can use video, we can use hands-on material, anything that we find practical so that students can comprehend the content. When we look at the how, which is the multiple means of expression, we are giving students choices in how they can demonstrate their knowledge. And so rather than just giving them an essay, teachers might allow students to give an oral report, have the students create a video, because we know that our students tend to be very technologically savvy, instead of in terms of the why, where it's looking at the stimulating interest, etc. We are looking at how we can personalize students' interests. You may say, what does this have to do with me as a parent? When our children are growing up, it is important that we expose them to different things and not just have them glued to the textbook, but engage them, speak with them, share with them videos, ask them their opinion, let them fix jigsaw puzzles, let them use their hands, let them skip. All of these things are very important. So when difference is misread, we tend to say things like, he's restless, right? She never participates. She asks too many questions. She's not academic. Instead of saying like, he may be curious, he may be analytical, instead of saying she never participates, we could say, she's just processing internally, or, perhaps there is a lack of confidence. So I want us to think about these things even when we respond to our own children. So before you label, I want you to observe for me. And there is a notice framework here. And the notice framework that I created basically is just this. It is basically a very functional approach that examines what happens before or after a behavior. So it is not just for you to react to the behavior, but it is to lend support. And this is very important. So you notice the patterns, notice when your child is engaged, notice when your child is distracted, when they are energized, when they are frustrated. We need to know our children. Observe our children, don't judge them. So if the child completed the work quickly and didn't check the answers, don't just accuse the child of being careless. Yes, there may be elements there, but we still need to watch how we use our language. Talk with the child. I cannot emphasize this enough. Speak with the children. And that is why it is so important. Interaction at home is so important. Many of us could read before we went to school. Many of us, we hear our parents talking about the same thing, the poems they could recite, and all of these things are very important within the context of the home. Even as it relates to investigating context, we need to look at our children, their sleep habits, look at their health, look at what resources are we giving them. How do they spend their summer vacation? Is it just about video games, or do we try to teach them a new skill, enroll them in somewhere for them to swim, enroll them in a program where they can learn a skill, some kind of skill, have them a simple thing like how to use Word, how to create a PowerPoint. These are very important skills that we can foster in our children. Create opportunities. Are they engaged in music? Are they engaged in sports? Coding, debate? It's not just about academics. We are looking at the fact that exposure reveals ability. And I'm going to say it again, exposure reveals ability. We need to make environments rich. And it is not about having money. You have, even if it is that you want to, there are videos on YouTube. I know that you have some churches that offer certain after school activities. You have extracurricular activities at school. All of these things are very important, and we need to take advantage of them. So we have some items here, and I'm going to ask you, which is most valuable? Tell me which is most valuable. I have 4 there. We have a hammer, you have a screwdriver, you have a measuring tape, you have a paintbrush. Which one is most valuable?
All are valuable.
Okay, Sister Rosie, all. Why you say all are valuable?
Because you can't use a screwdriver to hammer a nail, and you can't use a hammer to screw in a screw. So they all have their different needs, uses.
Great. Thank you very much. So it is the same thing. A hammer is not a defective paintbrush. A measuring tape is not an unsuccessful screwdriver. So each becomes valuable as its purpose is understood and appropriately applied. And it is the same way we are going to be looking at children. Children should not be compared as though they were designed to perform identical functions, right? So comparison may cause us to overlook the child standing before us because we are preoccupied with the child standing next to them. And difference should be developed and coordinated, not ranked as though only one type of contribution matters, right? And again, I'm going back to 1 Corinthians 12, 4, where we look at different functions, 4 to 6, where we look at different functions can contribute to one larger purpose. In the family, difference is to be coordinated and respected, not ranked. I'm going to say it again. In the family, difference is to be coordinated and respected, not ranked. And if you look at it in our natural families, even in our church families, we all have different talents, different giftings, etc. And so my family, my mission, you have your family, you may have a common goal, but it does not mean one personality. It doesn't mean one profession. It does not mean one definition of success. So, of course, value depends on the task, and difference should be developed and coordinated, right? What is it that brings the child alive? This is what I want us to think about. Think of one child, one grandchild, a student, a godchild, or a young person, and consider these 5 questions. What does this child do without being forced? What holds the child's attention? What problem does the child naturally try to solve? And what do other people consistently recognize or praise? As well as what opportunity has the child not yet been given. Many times, unexplored opportunity is the thief of success and progress. So I want us during the next 7 days, and I say 7, look at 7, you all know the significance of number 7. During the next 7 days, I will help this child explore or strengthen identified. This is what I want you to consider as you continue on this prayer and fasting journey. I want us to understand that we have to be the hands and the feet here on earth. That's one of the things that God has placed. We are not placed here on the earth for ourselves. And so is it that you need to have a conversation and you need to better think about how you communicate with a child to better foster and to guide. And we can't guide wisely if we have not taken time out to understand. So I want us to think about this, right? So every child is a treasure to be recognized, a gift to be developed, and a life to be directed towards God-honoring purpose. So if we go back to the 4 actions in the parable of the lost coin, we light the lamp because we're seeking understanding. We sweep the house because we are removing harmful assumptions and comparisons. We search carefully because we are observing patterns, we are listening to the child, we are creating opportunities, and we rejoice because we recognize progress and emerging strengths. So remember that the woman did not merely announce that the coin was lost. The woman changed the conditions around it. We need to do the same. She introduced light. She removed obstacles. She searched carefully. We cannot be complaining about the things we see in our children that we do not consider favorable. We have to seek to change the conditions, right? So when a child's ability is not immediately visible, our first responsibility, brothers and sisters, is not to condemn the child. We should ask, have we provided enough light? Have we asked the right questions? Have we examined the environment? Have we offered enough opportunities for discovery? So this is what I am asked. I'm leaving with you. Is there a child I have judged more than I have studied? So tonight we have concentrated on discovering the treasure. Tomorrow night, we will look at how the treasure can be developed. And so I thank you for joining me tonight. And I pray that we will all embrace our shared mission to recognize, nurture, and celebrate the unique gifts that each member or family brings to the world, remembering, for just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, though many, are one body, so it is with Christ. Thank you, brothers and sisters.